Look with me there in John chapter 8, verse 31. Then Jesus said to those Jews who believed him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Amen. They answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, and we have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say you will be made free? And Jesus answered them, mostly I say to you, whoever commits a sin is a slave of a sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. Being a slave is something, it takes many forms. What may put you into slavery may not put me into slavery. What affects you may not necessarily affect me. There's some people that they're so enslaved with other people that they don't really have any freedom for themselves. In other words, they're so connected with another person that their whole world revolves around that person. You understand what I mean? It may be a husband, it may be a wife, it may be a child, it may be a parent, it can be a celebrity, it can be a movement, it can be a whole lot of things that they're so connected with that they can't find their own self inside without it. Some people are enslaved by addiction. All kinds of addictions. We could go through a whole list of what people can be addicted to because there's so many opportunities for people to be addicted to something. Addiction is when no longer it's your free choice to do something. You're guided by your own desires, by your own can't even think of the word I want to use. Your own cravings. When you're addicted to something, even when you see that it's harmful to yourself or to others, you can't stop, or you don't stop. Some people are enslaved to debt. You know, I don't believe they start like that. They don't get up in the morning and go, you know, today I think I'll go in debt. Yeah. It's just whatever they're wanting, that is the only way they can see that they can achieve it. So they go with a plan, they have what they know that they can pay, and they think about that, but sometimes we don't always think about all the things that can happen in life that where you can't make that payment. So they get overwhelmed by bills and payments, problems and stress. Because as you know, all you got to do is miss one payment. Then you got surcharges. You got interest. You got penalties for being late. It just starts to build, and pretty soon you're enslaved by what started out as something pleasurable. Some people are enslaved to food. When they're depressed, they eat. When they're bored, they eat. When they're happy, they eat. A lot of our social events, a lot of our family gatherings are surrounded by food. I know I've said this before. I've heard other people say it, so I don't feel so bad. Well, I'm going to go on a diet after Thanksgiving because I want to make sure I have Thanksgiving. It's a lot easier that way, isn't it? Some people are enslaved by attention. They want to be the focus of attention. They want to be in the limelight. They want to have all eyes on them. They want everything to be drawn to them. And when it's not, they're not happy. So a lot of people do a lot of crazy things just to have attention. They're addicted to it. They're enslaved by it. All of these things bring temporary happiness. But I promise you, after that little bit of joy that they get for whatever they've just done, whether it's attention or eat or purchase something, whatever it may be, pretty soon they feel an emptiness inside of them. They feel, maybe even feel guilt for what they've done. It's just temporary. And so they have to chase it again. It's a vicious cycle. They're enslaved by it. They're captured by it. Now look with me there at 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 19. Now, Peter is talking about religious leaders that are so corrupt, who are trying to lead, and yet they're still in bondage of sin, and they're trying to tell other people how to get out of it, but they don't want to get out of it. And that's the point there. Those religious leaders, it's not that they were in sin, it's that they decided they didn't want to be out of it. Hey, I can still do what I want. Still have the ability to tell other people how to live their life, but not be able to do it myself. So I know he's not really talking about this, so I don't want to take it out of context, but he does say something here very important. Look with me there. 2 Peter 2:19, while they promised them liberty, he's talking about the religious leaders, that they themselves are slaves of corruption, for by whom a person is overcome, by him also is he brought into bondage. Now, the New Living Translation says it like this: they promise freedom, but themselves are slaves of sin and corruption, for you are slave to whatever controls you. Whatever controls you. If it's anger, then guess what? Anger controls you. I mean, if it doesn't take much to set you off, make that little, as Gary always says, that little vein in the top of your head sticking out. If it doesn't, then anger's controlling you. If it's drinking, then drinking controls you. If it's porn, then it's porn that controls you. If it's greed, then greed is the thing that's controlling you. If it's power, then it's power that controls you. If it's fame, then it's fame that controls you. The sad part is that people are enslaved by things and they don't even realize it. It controls them. It defines them. It manipulates them. It has power over them. You ever heard the saying, "Oh, that person's just out of control"? Why do you say that? Because they've looked at somebody and they know that person is not acting normally like they would. So they're out of control. They can't control themselves any longer. Now, I'm not making excuses for any of these things, but I want you to understand that we can all be in bondage of something, or maybe even more than one thing, and never really understand it or realize it. I'm not putting people down for this, not trying to make them feel bad about their situation. I read somewhere this week, and this quote was really touched my heart. It said, church is the only hospital that has ever been to where a patient was attacked for being sick. And is it not the truth? You get somebody with a problem, with a real situation in their life, and if they admit to it, then the church people all over, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're like that. Instead of trying to help them, instead of trying to minister to them, to get them back on the right track. These things are said to us to help us realize that we may be controlled by something more than what we think is controlling our life. Okay, so what do we do if we're enslaved to something? If something is control of our life, how are we going to change? We've wrestled with it. We've said we're not going to do it anymore. We've made the statement, I'm going to have more self-control. But we keep giving in to our own desires. We keep giving in to what compels us. Well, let's look at the verse again. Look with me there in John 8:31. It says, then Jesus said to those Jews who just believed him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It is God that helps us get free from the things that enslave us. But the first step to do that, the first thing you've got to do is admit that you're enslaved. You talk to anybody who's been through some kind of an addiction, and they tell you that the first thing they had to admit, even though everybody else knew it, the first thing they had to admit is that they had a problem. Because I guarantee you, when people are in that situation, they'll tell you this, well, I can quit anytime I want to. I don't have to have it. I don't have to do it. It's until they realize they can't. That they can't stop when they want to. That they really have a serious situation. It's the same with us. No matter what enslaves us, we've got to admit it. That's why he said, the truth shall set you free. It's realizing, hey, I've got a problem. I've got something I'm dealing with. I've got something that's controlling my life, and I need Jesus to help me overcome it. Now, I want you to understand, you can say that, and sometimes, matter of fact, when I was in the waiting room this week, I met a man who was there, and I wish I would have asked him his name, but his house just burnt down last Thursday, completely engulfed, lost everything. He's 84 years old, him and his wife. I think she's 82. He's there getting a stress test. Now he's got to deal with starting all over again. But he was telling us that when he was in his 30s, he said, I smoked 3 packs a day. He said, I was a fair athlete. I wasn't great, but I could hold my own. He said, but I smoked. And he said, I hadn't realized how bad that had affected me. And he said, he was out there playing ball with his son one day, and he said, I could tell I was in bad shape. He said, so I went home, I took the cigarettes out of my pocket, I tore them up. He said, I destroyed the other ones, and I never smoked again. Now, some people with addictions or things that enslave them, some people can do that. Some people, I don't know, they're just given a special blessing, and that may be you. You may pray to God, and God just takes that desire completely away from you. But there are some people that are not that lucky or blessed. or maybe there's a process that God is trying to get them through. I don't understand, but I know one thing, it doesn't work for everybody. So you may be struggling with it. You may be struggling with it for years. You may ask God to help you, and it's a process. And I want you to think about a big old log, and you've got, it's in the way. You've got to get rid of it. You got to move it. And the only thing that you've got to move it with is a bow saw. You don't have a chainsaw. You don't have a friend who has a chainsaw. You got a bow saw, and that's all you got. So you get out there. Now, you're not going to cut the 2 or 3 swipes of your blade. You're just not going to do it. It's so huge. Now, you may get lucky enough that you get to a certain part, and in the middle it's rotten, and you can get to that part easy. But if it's solid, it's going to take you a while. It's going to take patience. You're going to have to stay after it. You may have to work on it for a while and then go rest and then come back. It may take you a while, but it can be done. And that's what I want to encourage you. It can be taken away from you. Whatever has enslaved you, whatever you're dealing with, whatever is haunting you, whatever brings a little bit of joy for temporary, and then all of a sudden you just crash, and then you're sad, and you feel guilty, and you feel like I wish I wouldn't like that. Don't beat yourself up. Remember, His grace is sufficient. He doesn't love you any less just because you're struggling with it. Matter of fact, you may be struggling with it so that you can help somebody else. Once you achieve what God has for you. Or you can help somebody along the way on their journey. Freedom only comes when we continue to be obedient to God's word. Second way to help ourselves be unenslaved of something is that we focus on helping somebody else. You'd be amazed how that if you'll focus on doing something for somebody else, your attention is no longer upon you. You don't have to meet that selfish need that you have, because all of a sudden you're focused on doing something good for somebody else. And that really, really builds when you're doing it to help somebody else because you love God, because you want to serve Him, because you want to be a benefit, a blessing to somebody else, because God has been a blessing to you. You shift the focus from being slaves of sin to what the Bible says, slaves of righteousness. You begin to change. Your focus begins to change. And pretty soon those things that enslaved you, they don't have the glitter and gold like they once did. Because you found something better. You found something that is rewarding and lasts. And the great thing about that is when you help somebody and it really benefits them, and you see how God is using you to do that, there is no bad side effects. I mean, you ever seen on TV when they have that you can take because you have this symptom, and then they list off all the bad effects of it? I mean, I seen one the other day, it was dry eyes. And then they were going through the list of the bad effects, and it said death. And I'm thinking, not sure, I think I'd rather have dry eyes than death. When you're focused on God and doing for others, you're not focused on yourself. All these other things that we went through a while ago, these things that enslave us, that's all about us. That's only bringing pleasure to us. But when we decide, hey, my life is going to be different, I'm going to focus on others, I'm going to focus on serving God, then all of my attention, all of my energy, everything about me is focused on something else. And that's where I find real fulfillment. That's where I find real joy. That's where I find real freedom. Real freedom. God doesn't mind you having stuff. God doesn't mind you getting things. No, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying He doesn't mind you enjoying life. But when enjoying life takes over and controls you, then there's the problem. I know I've told you this before, but a guy one time bought a play set for his kid, and he started putting together, and it had all kinds of things, and he had stuff scattered, and he worked on it 2 or 3 days, and he said he finally got it built, and he said the thing that he realized the most about that is that he didn't own a play set, it owned him. Because he spent all his time and his effort trying to get that thing together. That's exactly how things control us. Don't beat yourself up because something ends. Because every one of us are sinners. We may be saved, but we still have sins in our life that we have to confess. Let me tell you, if you don't have any sin in your life and you're perfect, let me hang out with you, because I ain't figured it out yet. Yeah. I'm still struggling with it. But see, that's what changes us from what Peter was talking about. These religious leaders, they didn't want to change. They thought, hey, I can feel important about myself. I can get all this prestige. People look up to me, and yet I don't have to change my ways. No, it's the idea, hey, I want to change. I want to be different. I don't like the way I am. I want to be more like Jesus. We're going to have a song of invitation, page 305, please.